Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about text analytics and we will go over an example on how to use some of the techniques. So I will focus mainly on chats, conversations. Okay, so let's get started. My first example will be using WhatsApp. In my country, it's very popular. I know in other countries, maybe in the US, is not the leading app for chatting with friends and family. But the same methodology works for other platforms. Okay, so in case you're using WhatsApp, the way it works is it has to be in your cell phone. You go to the group or the conversation that you want to analyze, and you can export the chat. So let me just give you an idea, but again, you have to do it on your cell phone. I pick the group that I want to use. In this case, this is from my high school. And if you scroll down in the below the group description, here you won't see it, but again in your cell phone you will see like export chat. You click export chat, it will generate a zip file which you can send to your email or share it different ways. And once you unzip the file, you will get a txt. Then that txt will show you all the conversation. Now, if you're using something different, it's possible just to copy and paste. For example, I was just checking. I went to Facebook Messenger, and the Facebook Messenger I was able to retrieve a conversation with a family member. I just copy the conversation and paste it here on Notepad, and I just save it as a TXT file, and that's it. I didn't change anything of the conversation. All right. So once you're ready, once you have the file, the way it works, let me show it to you. So the first thing is that okay, we need to upload the file. So this is my chat, the chat txt. And if I want to visualize it as it is, it's an unstructured, it's unstructured data. But even though it's unstructured, you can identify a pattern. For example, here we see the first thing, the timestamp. You see the month, day, year, hour, minute, seconds, right? If it's AM, PM, the sender, who's sending the message, right? And then the message. So there is a pattern. This is important because if you want to analyze this data, our first step is to parse it into a data frame, because in that way it's going to be easier to analyze. So how can we parse our text data, in this case, our conversations? So we will use regex. Regex is regular expressions. It's just a language that will help us to identify the patterns in our text file, and again to be able to translate that into a data frame. Okay, so let me show you how does it look, the code. It's like this. Here we find the pattern, this one. Again, if you read it at the first time, it looks complex, but it's not that complex actually. Okay, so what we're saying here, okay, is like, so the first thing is there is a bracket, and then we are saying, okay, here you will find a digit, a number with 1 or 2 digits. Then there is a slash. Then again, this is for the month. Same thing for the day. You will find a number with 1 or 2 digits. Slash, and then you will find a number with 2 or 4 digits because that's the year. After that, there's a comma, and then we have the hour, which will have 1 or 2 digits, the minutes 2 digits, and the seconds 2 digits. And then it will be either APM or PM, AM or AM or PM. So from these 3 digits, you will match 2. This is the interpretation of this. We have the bracket to close the date. Then we collect everything up to the column. That will be the sender. And then everything, meaning the message. That's what we're getting. So we're getting dates, the sender, and the message. So at the end, we're getting date, time, sender, and message once we parse it. So what we'll do is like from this structure that you see here, for example, this is the original text. So we're extracting the date, this part, then the time, the sender, and the text. So with regex, we can identify the pattern and we can extract information. So once we do that, once we parse it, this is what we get. We get a data frame with the information. So now, instead of having, like all that unstructured data, now we have a data frame here with 4 columns, and each row is just one conversation, one message, date, time, sender, and the message. Same idea. If you're using a different platform, let's say you're not using WhatsApp, you're using another app. So as I mentioned before, you can just copy and paste, save on a text file, and I did the same example. You can go to any generative AI platform, such as the ChatGPT or similar, and I uploaded the text. Please do not upload the whole thing. Maybe you can just copy and paste, like one line, couple of messages, but you don't need to upload the whole thing, just for privacy issues. And once you ask these apps to parse or give you the regex code, so you get the message, and this is what you get. So now instead of having a txt file or unstructured data, now I'm getting this table. This is for a Facebook chat conversation. In this case, it has 5 columns: date, time, sender, full name, and the message. Just one more. That's because the pattern that Facebook was using. All right. So once you have then all your text in this data frame, now it's going to be way easier to analyze, because we can perform our exploratory data analysis and just using the tools that we have seen in previous sessions. We will create a word cloud. We will create some bigrams, trigrams to see, like pairs of words that are together. Uh, that's the idea. So for example, the first plot here is to count the messages per user to see like who's the most active user in the group. In my case, there were like, I don't know, like 80 people inside that group. So that's why I'm limiting only to 30. But in your case, it depends. If it's a small group, you don't need this. So this is how it looks. So top users and the number of messages that they are, sending to the group. In this case, of course, the first one is the admin. Is always, like sending messages to the group. In my case, I'm not that active. I'm here. I'm still in the top 30, but again, I'm not that active, so that it shows, right? The number of messages, it's small compared to other users. Unique words. This is optional. It's just a way to see like how diverse is the vocabulary that the person is using. So how many different words that person, has typed into the group. All right, you can keep doing the analysis here. I'm gonna do the word cloud. Remember that if you want to get the word cloud, you need to clean your data, because if you leave it as it is, then there will be a lot of preposition, pronouns, and then you won't get the essence of the group or the analysis that you're doing. So you need to remove stop words. You need to remove like uppercase letters, some symbols that may affect the analysis. Remember that when we're working with text, this is a little bit more complex than just working with numbers. It is more like challenging. The clean is way more challenging than when you're working with just text or even categorical variables. Okay, so once we clean our data, in my case, I'm using removing stop words in Spanish because this group, it's from my high school, so everyone speaking Spanish. But you will need to, of course, remove it if it's in English. Just change it here, the language. All right. So once it is done, it makes a lot of sense. When I send it to my friends, they kind of identify that, because that this word cloud represents actually what we do all the time. So for example, this one is Happy Birthday, Feliz Cumpleaños. So it's for us very common to to say happy birthday to the person. Uh, then good morning, buenos dias. It's very common. So that's what you see pretty much in our work cloud. It's friendly. It's very formal. It's not like we're not like chatting the whole day. All right. Then you can keep working. Like in your data analysis, doing more like asking more questions. Like, okay, what time of the day the group is more active, or what day of the week. So we can compute that. This one is the average messages per hour. So typically, the group is very active after work, 6 p.m. You see, like 5 messages per hour. It's not active, of course, whenever it's sleeping here. Which days? Thursday is the most active day, and Sunday is very quiet compared to the other days. We can see a contribution of the users per, per hour. So, for example, there is a friend, and everyone was asking me for this one in my group because, like, hey, please let us know if one specific member, he's the one who's always saying, good morning every single day at 6, 7 a.m. So, yeah, we found his contribution here between these two hours. Okay, what else you can do here? You can find which days were the most active days of the group. In my specific case, I bought a different cell phone in 2024, so my conversations are only from October 2024. So that's the time window of the analysis. All right, let me show you what other things you can do. We can connect with previous sessions. Remember network analysis. You can find like important nodes, or more than important nodes, like who like the users that are connecting the most with other users. So there are some metrics, right, that you're familiar, like degree. It measures it gives an idea of as I mentioned, like the connections or the messages that have been connecting our users in the group. So here the admin, of course, is the winner because he kind of like interacts with everyone in the group. The page rank is also it's like for the influence or the importance in the group. This one is very interesting. This is I believe it's more than EDA, but it works for an EDA. When we're working with text, a very common analysis is a sentiment analysis. Companies are typically interested in understanding the sentiment of their customers when they write a review. So same thing here. You wanna identify whether the group is like people is fighting, or it's a friendly group. Uh, so one way to do that is with a sentiment analysis. A sentiment analysis can be done different ways. This one that I'm using right now is with text block. It's a it's a fast and it's a sentiment analysis, but I have to say that it's not the best. This one is when you want something quick. What it does is like it will take like the message, and then each word of the message will get a score. For example, if it's the word hate, so you will get a negative score. If the word is happy, then it's gonna get a positive score. So once each word gets a score, then it will find a score that represents the whole message, right? But there is no context. There is no context. It only kind of like analyzes each word individually. And once that's done, then you can see the sentiment. So if it's close to one, like greater than zero, it means it's positive. If it's close to zero, it means neutral, like it's not positive. It's like a fact. And if it's negative, it's gonna be like something bad. The sentiment, right? In our case, in this group, it's slightly above zero. But yeah, the mean is pretty much at zero, but it's a little bit higher, right? You see here the histogram, this bar. In our groups, it was interesting because during the class, with the in-class students, I kind of like I checked their analysis, and in some cases it was bimodal. Like some a lot of messages here in the negative part, and then another a big portion of messages here in the positive part. And that's because the group was like only for some friends. At some point they were just fighting like friends do, but most of the time they also were having fun. So yeah, you can see different shapes here in the when you're doing the sentiment analysis. Again, if you want to do something more robust than that, like for a business application, there are other packages, there are other tools, and they use different approaches. They use like neural networks, like BERT, for example. It's used for this. And the good thing about these tools is that they will consider the context, not just like the words as isolated. So if it's something more like business related, I highly encourage you to use a different library for that. Maybe you will need to train a model for that. All right, so I'm gonna stop the video for now, but I highly encourage you to start practicing text analytics. It's fun. It's not what I like about text analytics is that data it's everywhere. It's not limited. It's not like when you are analyzing numbers, just like a theoretical variables in a table. So we need a company, to provide us the database. But with text is everywhere. You can just go online and you can create your own database. You can just grab data from different websites, and again, it's unlimited. You can go to like a social media platform such as X or any other thing that you like, and you can do some interesting analysis. There are some APIs that will allow you to connect with different platforms to gather data, text data, so you can start analyzing. All right, I'm gonna stop the video from now. I hope you enjoyed the session. I'll see you in our next video.